My name is Jonna Ekman and I'm the marketing director at StoryKit. And today we're going to talk about how to build a video strategy that scales. I'm so happy to say that we just started a free trial experiment in the UK. So if you want to do a free trial with the tool that we're working with here, just go to this little page and sign up. We will also send you a link in the follow-up email after the webinar, so don't you worry. So now let's start. The first thing we need to begin when talking about video is to understand what happens with video in this world, which is a completely new world. And what am I talking about this? I'm going to illustrate the shift with this man, who is my father, Boris Ekman, who is the retired CMO of the Swedish-Finnish shipping company Viking Line. And with myself, who is the stressed out marketing director at the SaaS company StoryKit. So he's been working as a CMO for most of his life, but I still get these types of messages on my Facebook page from now and then. So in this occasion, he wrote, "Your father's heart swells with pride again." But I still have some difficulties as I try to explain to people what you're doing at StoryKit. And this comes from a man who's been working with marketing all of his life, writing to his daughter who is working with marketing. So it's a bit strange. But something else happened, and our jobs, they don't look the same. So he worked very proactively. He worked in an environment where he used few big channels. He did outdoors ads, or he did television ads, or he did the big things in the newspaper that you opened the paper and you saw Viking Line all over the place. He also worked with a few ad formats and with campaigns. And he had huge amount of time to plan, because you started to plan the next year's summer campaign a year before, because you had to have everything on spot. And he worked, when he didn't work with stories, he worked with ads, and he had a very high cost per unit. So how does my day job look like? Well, it's quite the opposite. I work very reactively. I use a vast amount of channels, an abundance of ad formats, and always on. And this is social media, of course. I do almost all my production in-house. I don't think my father has ever created an ad, and I create ads all the time. And when I tell stories, I do content, and I have very low cost per unit. So it's very easy for me to experiment. And one of the biggest issues here is that his biggest risk was being wrong. So if he planned the summer campaign for ages and it was the wrong campaign, everything just blew up. But my biggest risk is not being wrong. It's not doing enough, because I can be wrong every other day and it won't matter. But if I stop doing things, if I stop putting things on social, then things will happen. So I need to do stuff all the time. Because we live in an era of bite-sized communication. We don't pay much attention to the big, huge things anymore. We pay attention to the small things that come from everywhere. And this has made content change tremendously. In 1995, when internet came along, we worked with portals. And the way we found content was to go to some place like www.aftonbladet.se that we had in Sweden. I don't know what you had in UK, but you probably had a portal where you just went and found the content that you wanted to read. And in the age of portals, as a content producer, you had to do a couple of things. You had to update often. You had to have aim towards a very huge and vast audience, because you wanted to do something for everyone. And you needed to have good subject lines so people would actually click on those different things. And then came along the age of search. So for a while there, everyone found that what they were looking for via search. It didn't matter if you had a huge portal or not, a huge website, because people found what they were looking for through search. And when you optimize for search as a content producer, you will do another thing. It doesn't really matter if you update often. It doesn't really matter if you have a large audience or not. It matters what matters is words. Which words do you use? Which words do you SEO optimize for? And it's still very important, but for a while there, it was really everything. Another thing that Google counts is like, should the article be long? Should it have video? How many images should it have? So as a content producer, you SEO optimized a lot, which affected the content you were making. And in 2013, something happened, two things happened. The first thing that happened was the rise of the mobile phone. All of a sudden, we all moved from desktop to mobile phones. And in that, we had our social feeds. And when you start discovering content through social feeds, once again, we will see a change in what type of content the content user should make. Because in social feeds, it doesn't matter what words you use. It doesn't matter if you have the right formats. What matters, well, in social, it's quite difficult to know what matters, because all of a sudden, the only thing that we knew how to optimize for was subject. We knew that if we did something really provocative, people would click on that. Or if we would write about something that people were really mad about, people would click on that. But that's not a very good thing to optimize for when you're working with content, and especially if you're a content producer at a company, because you can't always be provocative in the way you're talking. And today you need to be everywhere, and you have to really, really use all of these. You have to optimize for search, you have to optimize for social. And the winning format in this bite-sized world where you get everything in little bits and pieces is video. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, we can use as many numbers as we want, because you can find these, just try Googling why video, and you will find so many numbers telling you that video is the thing. And the one I love the most of these is the one in the bottom, saying 85% of people would like to see more video from brands in 2021. I guess 85% of people will want to see more video from brands in 2022 too. And what I often think is, if people want to see more anything from a brand, then the brand should give it to them. But never mind the numbers. I mean, let's logically think about why we love video as a format so much. Well, first of all, it sparks emotions. Moving images sparks emotions, which is the most important part of any storytelling. Also, we know that video is easy to remember. You will remember a video you have watched more than a text you have read. Also, it's easy to consume. It's really easy to get a video in your feed and just watch it for 60 seconds, compared to if someone says, read this very long article that I find interesting, or please listen to this podcast for 25 minutes for this very quote that I liked. But video is super easy to consume. And this means that it's perfect for social, because it's consumed in a whole. It's easy to share, because easy, and you will never leave the platform, which the platform loves, the algorithms love, and the audience love, because they don't want to leave the platform either. Also, it's very accessible. It's a good way to have people that might not understand what you're trying to communicate otherwise, because they have a high fever, or they're having a child on their arm, or anything. So it's a super accessible format. And also, which I love as a content producer, it forces the sender to truly prioritize their messaging. It's so easy today when you can write the longest article ever and try to say everything at once. It's super important to be forced to prioritize my messaging. What am I trying to say here? Why am I trying to say this? To who? So today, winners publish video consistently with impeccable quality in an ultra-high tempo. And this goes for all the winners. It doesn't matter if you're Charlie D'Amelio and the biggest TikToker on the planet, or if you are Gong, one of the biggest SaaS companies in the US, or if you are Nike, you know Nike, or, which makes me really happy, if you are my father's old company, Viking Line, who have started creating video and social media with impeccable quality in an ultra high tempo. everyone publish video consistently. But many still create video for an old world. What do I mean with this? Well, people think that video still is something expensive. Every video needs to be the viral hit that you see here. Or you need to hire a super expensive agency that will work forever with a video. Or you think that it's just for the experts. It's for the person who has the super heavy camera equipment and knows to use it. Or it's just super complicated. It's for some person who loves to sit in a dark room and edit things for weeks. Or at least you know that it's impossible to scale because every video is an island. And if you want to do 10, it'll take more than 10 times longer. This is the way that people often still feel about video. But today, most videos should look like this. And I have obviously forgot to turn out the sound, one of them. But what I mean here is the text-driven, super simple, maybe with stock images or no assets at all, kind of video that we see in the feed so much today. And why is the text-driven video so successful in social media? It's because something has truly changed. In 2006, Facebook launched their news feed, and that changed how we communicated quite a lot. And shortly after, they started rolling out their ad solution, which was a complete change on how we created ads in the world. It took them a couple of years, but in 2013, they launched their first video ads. And when they did this, they did something really smart because they knew that people scrolled their feeds in a lot of situations where they shouldn't. They do it on the bus, we do it at the toilet, we do it in meetings, we do it whenever. And if we had click on these ads, and we would hear music playing or words being spoken, we would stop scrolling our feeds when we shouldn't. So they launched the auto start and the silent feed. And the silent feed has changed how we consume video completely. Today, 80 to 90% of all video views happen without sound. People don't even turn on the sound. Facebook says you should design for sound off, but delight with sound on. So if some poor little person puts on the sound, something nice should happen, but you should design for sound off. And this means that the most important factor for successful videos today is the script. Huge change. It's not the heavy camera equipment. It's not the super cool filmed stuff. It's the script. And that means that we have a video pro in town, and that is me or you, the person who can write. Super exciting. So this is, I'm not going to give you the whole sales pitch here, but this is our solution. So we created a tool where you start with text. And with text and a super smart AI, you can do you can go from text to storyboard in just seconds and then just tweak a bit and your video is ready. And if you want to try the tool, go to the site that I will send you a link to. Really good, no more selling. So how should we think about video in 2022 and beyond? Well, this is all the content your company is making. You're creating vast amount of content. Blog posts, press releases, instruction thingies, PDFs, white papers, whatever. And you also create a little bit of hero content, usually. Might be a special campaign that you've planned for or what it can be. And the hero content is often video, and all the other content is often text. Because when you do that one special campaign a year, you have often included some super duper video in that. And what we recommend is that you should keep doing that because you do want to win the awards and have cool stuff on TV and so forth, but you should also start doing all the other content in video. Because the secret to winning in social channel is more. And it doesn't matter if you write text posts, if you post images, if you post funny memes, or if you publish video, you need to do it consistently. And you shouldn't be publishing a lot of videos. You should be publishing heaps of video. Many of our customers increase their video production with 400% when they start using StoryKit. Yay! But they're still creating too little video. And so are we. And we are the video company. But why is the quantity so important? Well, first of all, that's how social works. Out of sight, out of mind. Remember these two? So his biggest risk was doing the wrong thing, and my biggest risk was to not do stuff. And also, you need to publish a lot of stuff to learn. What does your target audience want to learn from you? Because you can read every white paper out there. You can Google best practices until you fall asleep, and you will still not learn what your target audience want to learn from you. The only way to learn that is to actually try. And the only way to learn how to reach out in a swarm of content is to try 1,000 different ways and do it 1,000 times. And that's a quote from our very, very smart CPO, Fredrik Strömberg at StoryKit. Also, the quantity is important because you want to be able to reach different target audience, and different target audiences need different things. We will get back to that. So now, let's create a video strategy. The first thing you do, which brings us back to the target audience again, is to find it and shrink it. You probably have an idea of who your target audience is, your ICP, your persona, and all of that. You need to shrink it. Because this is the target audience that you have defined, loads of people that you want to reach. But when you do this video, these are the people who might care about it. And that's not very many people. So why would you create a video for all of these people when these are the people who might care? And this is why I'm going to give you, if you're going to remember one thing from this webinar, it's this, the golden rule. You have one subject and one target audience for one video. Do not try to create one video for several target audience or one video with a lot of subject, because this is the biggest mistake people do with video today. When they do their video, the one that they do once a year, they want to include a customer testimonial, maybe a little interview with EO, maybe something about the product. And shouldn't we include that report we made? And no one wants to watch that video. So that should be like 4 or 40 videos. One subject, one target audience means one video. So create a lot of video. And this will happen. When you have created all of these videos, you will have reached all these people, but with targeted messages. This is my point. The second thing you need to do when you're setting up your video strategy for 2022 is to set your goals straight. So this is where we need to talk about this little fella, the likes, because we have so many users and people in our audience and our community that are like, but my videos don't get any likes. Nah, maybe they don't, because what you need to think about is, was likes the thing you really needed here? Will likes help you reach your goals? Will they help you make well-informed decisions? And can they even be counterproductive? I'm going to give you one example from my own thing. So for a couple of years ago, we wrote this article. It was pictures of feet and 4 other things you can't do on Facebook. And people love this article. They started commenting, putting GIFs, even pictures of their own feet in the comments, and it just blew up. It blew all the numbers, all the KPIs up. We've never had that much traffic to our site. We've never had this many comments. We've never had this many shares. And I was like, okay, so we're just going to do articles like this in the future, and we need to put a lot of budget behind it. But when we started looking into this, the article didn't give us one new client. The article didn't give us one new prospect. The article didn't give us anything apart from a lot of likes and stuff. And that might be a really, really, really good thing. if that's what you want, but that's not what I wanted. So instead, I stopped doing this. So you need to set your goals straight, and you need to know that one video can do everything, but many videos can do a lot. So set the right goal for every video. And you know the marketing funnel, and I will not tell you what the right goals for your videos are, but we can give you examples. So in the top of funnel, the metrics might be engagement or views or shares or comments or retention or even likes. But remember that people very seldom press like when they have watched a video. So look at the retention instead, or the views. See what people say about the video. In the middle of the funnel, you will probably want to do other things. You want people to act in another way. So click-through rates or downloads or webinar signups. I use video all the time for ebook downloads and webinar signups, and it really, really works. And of course, in the bottom of the funnel, for me, it's meetings booked. And it's easy to measure. And I don't care if that video gets any likes. I just care if they book the meeting. The third thing you need to do for this video strategy is to fill your content plan. And that sounds like an easy chore, but it isn't, because first you need to find your stories. And I have met so many companies, we have no stories to tell. We are such a boring company, we don't have any stories to tell, which is not true because everyone has stories to tell. So first of all, look at all that content you're already publishing, the blog posts, the press releases, the instruction thingies, the fun and the boring things. You will have loads of stories there that you can just pick and create a video of. Start looking inside your organizations, because you have stories to tell there about your colleagues, the releases, the successes, and the problems. People do want to hear about this. Of course, you have all watched Simon Sinek talk about the why, so find your why. Find that feeling that you want your audience to have and create content that enables that feeling. One thing that you can do is always listen to what the competition are talking about. It might give you ideas of what to do and what to avoid. But most importantly, listen to what your audience is talking about. What are their pain points? What keeps them up at night? What are they interested in? And this is like the most important thing that any content creator can do, because if you don't know what your audience is talking about, you won't get anywhere. And in social, it's so easy. You can see what they're commenting on, what they're saying, what they're asking, what they love, what they hate, if you don't have the opportunity to talk face to face with them, of course. That's always the best thing. One think about this is to plan it like they do in a newsroom, because no one does content as efficiently as they do in newsrooms. And this is because they have a deep understanding of their target audience. They know their whole target audience inside out. They publish super frequently. I mean, they publish stuff all the time, so they know what works and what doesn't. And this means that they can have little focus on every article and a big focus on the full picture. Experiment, try. If that thing didn't work, try something else. And they don't fear publishing. Publishers even say, publish and be damned. And so be it. So that's a good inspiration to think like a newsroom. And what they're also really good at in newsrooms is to work proactively and reactively. So the image we all have inside our hearts about a newsroom is that they sit there and things happen in the world and then they act. But no, they fill issues and newspapers and things and magazines all the time, and they wouldn't be able to do that if they didn't work super proactively. And what they do then is they use formats. So my biggest content planning tips is to find formats that you are then able to use when you're creating video in the future. So try to think a couple of proactive formats. It might be a person interview, really easy to do. or just use your thought leading material that you probably have laying around and do some proactive video on that. You do have FAQs somewhere in your company. Why not use those questions and do one video per question? Super good content. And for every article you write, you should have a format that is a trailer for that article to make people click and want to read. And if you go to the more reactive side, you can do micro cases in video form. When you talk to clients or when you get a good testimonial in, you can just use it for a micro case. You can find these stories from within your company, as I told, that could be proactive or reactive. But you might want to have a format for what's happening today. It depends a bit about on what your organization is doing, of course, but maybe it's a weekly format or a monthly format. We have a monthly format, like what's happened social, what happened in social the last month. So this is a really good way to just be super here and now, but still have it planned. Surveys is a good way to pick up things that happen around you. So this new report happened, and I have 3 experts who will answer questions about them. And then, of course, facts and figures. Everyone should have a facts and figures format, because when that report is released, you want to be the one who just grabbed an interesting number and put it in a video and was out there like 5 minutes later. You do want to be that company. The fourth thing you need to think through when you create your video strategy is the distribution. And oh, do people do distribution too little? Because we put so much time and effort into creating, and then we like throw it out on social on our lunch break. And that is such a waste, because distribution is everything. And one tip is to start with one channel and learn. Because even if Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn and YouTube are different channels, you have mastered one. It will be so much easier to master the next and the next and the next. But if you try to do everything at once, you won't learn that one channel, and you won't be able to master those other channels. And always remember, when you distribute in social, and this doesn't matter which platform you're on, you are joining a conversation. It's social media where we are social. So we're always joining a conversation. People are already talking when we get there. So we can consider it as a party where we come in with our little story, and we can't just blurt it out because no one will listen, because they talked about something completely different. So you can consider it with this content that I have. Will I be starting a conversation? It's very interesting to start a new conversation in social, because you need to know that it will be interesting enough and that the timing is right. Can I join a conversation? Do I have an interesting point of view? Can I bring things to the table that they haven't already spoken about? And you can also end the conversation. So doing content that summarizes stuff, or these are the things we learned, or things like that. Those are 3 really good ways of thinking of how you are joining this conversation. And then I must stress that you should use the post. So when you post on social, you will have an area where you can write stuff. Use that space. You can use it so much, and it could make and break a video. So please think about the post. And then distribute and redistribute. What people think is like, I can't post this story again because I posted it 2 months ago. My audience would think that I'm repeating myself. No, your audience will not remember. If they liked it, they will be like, oh, there's that article that I liked again. Nice. And they didn't, they won't remember it. And the biggest thing is that they probably didn't see it, because no one sees everything that you post, unfortunately. So never be afraid to redistribute stuff, and please chop it up a notch. Try another post, do a little thing in your video, or choose another picture. And for all good strategies, you should have thought through, you should think through how you're going to use everything you learn to iterate and be better. Because when you've published your first video, it's time to look at what worked and what didn't. And do see here that I say after you've published your first videos, because I know that marketers love to think things through too much. So we spend a lot of time planning and planning and planning and never actually do the things. So what I recommend is start doing and then learn, because you won't learn before you've started doing. Then you can rethink your plan and build on your insights. Oh, so our audience didn't like this thing, but they really like this thing. See, and keep executing. You can't like, okay, now we published 3 things. Let's stop for a month and think. Keep executing consistently. Look at those goals and KPIs and data. And this is where you're going to be so happy that you actually set goals and KPIs, because when someone in your team goes, but we didn't get any likes, you can go, I didn't want any likes. So learn, create, publish, iterate. This is the way we need to do it. So a super fast recap, 5 steps to scalable video strategy will be: find your target audience and shrink it, set your goals straight, fill your content plan, create once and distribute forever, and then learn and iterate. And if you've come this far, you will have come very, very far, because many people just think with video that we just want to do video. But if you know why you want to do video, what you want to achieve, and how, you will be so far, you will have come so much longer than anyone else, I promise. But most importantly, and this is really something that I like to stress, is just do it. So I know that this is a logo that some other company already has, but it's a really good thing to think, just do it. Because we are so good at thinking about doing stuff and not doing stuff. And with that, I will remind you that if you want to try a tool that will enhance your video production, please go to the little URL and sign up for a free trial. Completely free, no strings attached, 2 weeks, just go for it. Or if you don't want to do that, you can always connect with me and all the fun stories that I share, especially on LinkedIn. If you have any questions or want anything, you can always email me, just grab me on LinkedIn or whatever. And with that, I say thank you very much.